They split a calamari fricassee with artichoke batigoule and crystallized tomato, even though Rabbit thought he hated calamari. At least, he'd hated it up until that moment. Shiraz ordered it for him, remembering that he hated olives, and chose a chicken tagine with green olives and lemon confit with couscous, knowing he would change his mind. They held hands under the table so no one could see, and drank stinging wine while waiting for their mains to come, and Rabbit could not remember being happier. There wasn't a cause to fight for, an enemy to defeat, or anyone needing to be rescued. All was good in the world, and if it weren't, in some dark corner somewhere, it just wasn't his problem anymore. He glanced at Shiraz's smoky hazel eyes and smiled. "Are you happy?" she asked. "Very." "Me too." They passed a quiet moment together, nodding their heads to the music and enjoying their surroundings, and she eventually felt the need for conversation. "So, you said you were going to tell me about your adventures in Guatemala." He was in the middle of drinking from his wine glass, and his eyebrows jumped as he made a sound of like, "Oh yeah, that's right," only with his mouth full. He swallowed and grinned, not knowing his teeth were turning purple. She didn't mind. He was still handsome anyway. "Oh, a lot happened in Guatemala. Had a great time." He had to edit his stories to exclude violence, and disguising himself for whatever reason, because he was sure he would queer her feelings for him, which grieved him because that was who he was, and not being able to brag about all the fun things he dedicated so much of his life to left him with very little to talk about. It was as if he had become a master pickup artist and devoted every waking minute to perfecting his style, used it to meet and seduce the woman of his dreams, and on the second day she asked him what his other interests were. "Oh, I met an opera singer, famous, world-renowned, and great fun. He was helping me to be a writer, and I mentioned that I wanted to be a writer and I paint, right? Well, he was helping me with... Anyway, you'll never believe what this guy did." She had turned on the couch to face him, pulling up one leg to half kneel and sit on one ankle. He became so animated, and she loved his enthusiasm, the way his eyes lit up. "We were in a bar, and there was some American kids, all drunk and acting stupid early in the day, and they started making fun of him. I can't remember what for, but they were all picking on him. Their ringleader was this annoying lesbian." Rabbit noticed Shiraz stiffen a little at that last comment, and his spidey sense told him to proceed with caution, without knowing why. He felt the fear begin in his stomach again, but he swallowed and forged on. "Anyway, she had said that men know nothing about how to kiss or make love to a woman or anything, and that men have no clue and only a woman can satisfy another woman. Something like that, I don't remember. Well, when they all started picking on him, he just acted so British about it. He's British, you see, and took it in stride. Didn't let it get to him." "He didn't stand up for himself?" Wait, it gets good, hold on." "Okay." "So, he tells me to come meet him at this hotel later that evening, and when I do, this beautiful girl answers the door." Shiraz tilted her smoky hazel eyes at him like, "Watch it." I thought I was at the wrong door, you know," he continued, with the fear growing inside of him, thinking this was the wrong story, but he couldn't just stop in the middle. "But she spoke to me with Chandler's voice. That's his name, the opera singer, Chandler. The shock of it was like a bucket of cold water in the face. I was speechless. I mean, there was my friend dressed up like a woman." Shiraz was looking at him skeptically, and Rabbit remembered that homosexuality wasn't just frowned upon in Muslim countries. It was an aberration, like it had used to be in the US until MTV started reprogramming the minds of young people. Shit, he thought. Now I've done it. "But it turns out he's not gay," he added quickly. "He just dresses up as a woman to sing sometimes." "Oh, that'll make it all better," he thought bitterly. Dumbass. He took a deep breath and let it out in a heavy sigh. "Go on," she prompted, taking another sip of her wine. "Well, we go back to the bar, and long story short, he and that lesbian girl ended up kissing. I mean, kissing. And you know when in some movies you see a guy in a bar gets picked up by a woman and they're kissing later and he goes to massage between her legs and finds out she's really a man? You ever seen that? It happened in a couple of movies." "Not movies I've seen," she said. "Oh, but I can imagine. Go on." Well, the fury of the men in the movies, you know, their rage that they've been tricked into kissing another man, and their disgust at themselves, that was Chandler's revenge at that girl for insulting him earlier. It was the same, but opposite, if you get me. He looked at her uncertainly. Pause. He had another sip of his wine just to be doing something. Her smoky hazel eyes were burning into him, and he wanted to just shrink away into nothing, disappear, or teleport himself away, or turn invisible and slip away quietly, go back to the apartment and slit his own throat for telling a bad story and ruining things with this woman he knew he had no business with in the first place. So, she asked finally, what do you think of lesbians? The fear threatened to engulf him, as if his very life hung in the balance. And it probably did, he thought, because if this miracle of a woman ends it with me now, I'll never want to live another day. He swallowed hard. God, he thought, please tell me what to say. Please, please, please put the right words in my mouth right now before it's too late. Well, he said. Her eyes were sharp daggers poised to strike. He cleared his throat. Well, to be honest, I don't come from a country that tells people who they can and can't be in love with, so I'm just not prepared to give you the answer you probably want to hear. It was still frowned upon in the States, but this was in the 1990s, and we were on the cusp of a great change. People are starting to accept other people's differences now. You. I'm asking about you. He set his teeth, then manned up and said, to hell with it. He sat up straight and looked her in the eye. I know what it's like to be different, and for a long time, I wasn't accepted where I grew up. People made fun of me because I was small, because I wasn't as strong as other kids, and because I had to wear glasses. People accused me of being gay even though I wasn't, just because. So I know what gay people must feel like, and it hurts. It didn't matter that I wasn't gay at all, and I wondered, what would it matter if I was? It's not as if I would be hurting someone, but I grew up, I worked out, I got my eyes lasered so I don't need glasses anymore. As you can see, I am strong, and I can fight, and no one calls me fag anymore. But those are changes that I could make. Other people that are different on the inside just can't have an operation or take protein shakes and go to the gym and read a few books on how to make friends. So I feel bad for people who are gay and they have to live in a world that doesn't accept them. I feel bad for anyone that isn't accepted for unfair reasons. There, he thought. I said it. Judge me however you like with your evil religion of hate. He lifted his wineglass to his lips and drained it, his eyes closed, not wanting to see her leave, just thinking, if you go, go now before I open my eyes. He set the glass down and opened his eyes. She was still there. Doom tekka 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 doom tekka tek, came the music of a tambourine from somewhere he couldn't see. Doom tekka doom tekka. Cheers filled the room, the people at other tables whistling and clapping as beautiful women descended a large staircase in a flurry of color. Some came wearing breast cups of coral and abalone and anklets of silver and jet, with a gossamer loincloth draped narrowly between their shapely caramel legs. Doom tekka tekka doom tekka tek. Some swept in with long, flimsy silken trousers, baggy and caught in at their ankles, with brassiers of sparkling sequins. Large belts of jingling coins flashed around their waists as they glided on bare feet down the steps. Unseen hands began to beat stirring rhythms on doumbek drums and sigil the strings of ouds, an Arabian lute, and unseen lips blew bamboo ney flutes while the dancers whirled on the floor before them. But he took no notice of them as Shiraz reached to touch his cheek with her fingertips and lean in to kiss him deeply. Listen, I have a tiny request, Chandler said. The agent raised his eyebrows at him without looking up. I know you have your fingers in a lot of different pies. I want to buy a gun. The agent looked up, met his eyes squarely. What for? Well, you know how it is. No, I don't. Tell me, how is it? The world isn't safe anymore. It's never been safe. All you have to do is watch the Discovery Channel to see how safe it isn't. But that doesn't mean you have to go and buy a gun. Listen, there's something I didn't tell you. Something that happened in Guatemala. What, you got robbed? Worse. What then? Well, it seems Guatemalans are really big into kidnapping, taking tourists hostage, grabbing the children of expats on their way to and from school. At my hotel, I had drinks with the brother of the owner of Progresso, a big cement company. He'd gotten a few of his fingers chopped off and mailed to his family, one for every day, until they got the ransom money. He just sits in bars and drinks now. A lot of rich kids carry guns in case their bodyguards get killed, and they aren't left helpless. So what, you got kidnapped? Almost, but this chap came to my rescue. Crazy guy from the States. He had one of those James Bond-style guns with a silencer. Really? A Walther PPK? The very one. And he shot the 5 guys that were trying to force me into a van. Shot all 5 of them like it was nothing. And he just happened to be walking by and he saved me. You're kidding. Would that I were. And I found out later that they often go ahead and kill the hostages after they get paid. Huh. Yeah. But you're not there anymore. It doesn't matter. Like you said yourself, the world isn't safe. It opened my eyes to just how vulnerable I am, you know? As a celebrity, as a guy just walking down the street. You do know that firearms are illegal. That's why I'm asking you. The agent sighed. And what are you going to do with this gun? Carry it around with you? I don't know, Kevin. I just want to have one. It's better to have a gun and not need it than to need a gun and not have it. Plus, you should have seen this guy, the American. He was such a movie, the way he pulled it out crossing the street, and he imitated the Weaver stance with one thumb up and forefinger pointing at a vase on the shelf. Ping, 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 ping! And they all dropped from around me. I was shaking like a leaf, but he grabbed me by the hand and dragged me away to some bar for shots of tequila to steady my nerves. Ha! And did he carry you away on a white stallion to his castle and bed you after? No, but I thought he might, you poof. And I've been thinking about it ever since, so what do you say? Can you help me out? The agent chuckled and shook his head, but he said, I'll see what I can do. Same one, James Bond with a silencer and everything? Walther PPK, Chandler. It's called a Walther PPK. Right. James Bond. Sheesh. The thing is, Shiraz said, it is illegal, way too taboo to talk about it. But if you're caught, it's 6 months to 3 years in prison. The Moroccan girl has a British accent now. The thing is, Shiraz said, it is illegal and way too taboo to talk about. If you're caught, it's 6 months to 3 years in prison. For the majority of Moroccans, it's a sin because it's rejected by Islam. If you have sex outside of marriage, it's less condemnable than sex among the same sex. The first is only a sin, not abnormal. Gaiety is seen as a sin and abnormal. Okay, Rabbit said, signaling for more wine. But that's only the official story. The fact is, a lot of Muslim women are bisexual. Rabbit's eyes went wide. What? Oh yes, what did you expect? If you tell a bunch of horny girls that they can't get any love for boys, we'll play doctor with each other, and we do. Not all of us, of course, but you'll be surprised how many. And it's like don't ask, don't tell. We don't make a big issue out of it like Americans are these days, but I'm starting to think maybe we should. Oh, why? Well, here's a prime example. I was seeing a girl and we were walking down the street holding hands. You can do that, hold the hand of someone who's of the same sex, or hug out in a public place, so we were. And we loved it because